Hey everyone, it's Larry here at LC Model Shipbuilding, and in this episode we're going to be doing our fantail deck, our pool, and the roof that goes over the pool. So pretty much all of it is kind of custom done, so really nothing but the actual deck comes with the kit. But it turned out to be a pretty good, I think a pretty good video, so hopefully you like it, and let's get started. Okay, so I went ahead, like I said at the end of the last video, and painted the white line on, so I got that. Now, this kit did not come with waterline numbers, so I am stealing a set from another build that were left over, and then I can at least put them on so we have something anyway. And these are going to be probably a little bit long, so I'm going to need to cut them down a little. Yeah, they are. But I just got to see which end is the high number and which is the low. I can barely see them. Well, looks like that way. And that will give me about that length. That should be good and sufficient. And then I have the rear ones here, which may or may not need, yeah, they're gonna need cut as well. So most of it's gonna actually need cut. Okay, I don't usually do decals first, but I want to re-clear coat the hull now that I did my my repaint or my white paint, and I had a couple marks that I needed to touch up, so they'll blend in nice once the clear is on. But I didn't want to risk kind of just having issues with the decals going on later, so we're going to do them now, and then we will take the France decals and add them as well for the bow and stern. It does have some kind of white decal there, which I wonder if they are actually the water lines. I didn't see them before. Let me look at the directions here. I would be shocked if they actually had them. So 7, 8. No, I didn't think so. That's okay, because like I said, we'll oh, it does. It does have the waterline decals. No kidding. Alright. Well, mine are more detailed, I know that. But I'm just shocked that it has them in general. But France also had some water lines kind of along the hull, so I'm gonna have to look at that, and maybe I'll borrow them. I wish I would have realized this decal was the full thing there. backwards. Come on. There we go. And I just need some decal set on there, and we will be good. There it is. That will kind of help melt that in before the clear goes on. Beautiful. All right, I'm gonna do the other one, and then I'll put the others on. I'll probably clear coat it, and then we'll come back as we get ready to start the deck. One thing I will tell you that I already did for the bow, I filled in here. There was two kind of big divots, so I did go ahead and do them already, and there's going to be a lot more of that as we're going, as I've looked at this build. So again, I'm going to go ahead and pause it, and we'll come back. Okay, so here we go, starting with we got our bow here. I know I just kind of showed that a little bit ago, but I'm going to actually start in here, and I think this is going to be the more difficult of the two sections here, because we're going to replace this pull dome. And what I'm going to do is basically just drill a series of holes along the edge here, so that I can then easily cut it with a simple hobby knife. And I'm just basically trying to keep it so I have that line there along the outer edge. But even if I kill that, it's not that big of a deal, because I can put a piece of styrene in there to re-simulate it. Now along here, I have to go back a little bit in, because you have the wall there, obviously. But same thing here, if I need to add a piece of trim styrene, it won't be a huge deal. So I'm not overly concerned about getting it dead on perfect. And in all honesty, I probably will end up doing a piece of styrene regardless. This reminds me of the dentist. But in any case, underneath here then, I'm going to put a deck, and I'll make even a swimming pool in there, which you'll be able to kind of peer down into. I gotta get this plastic off the bit here. So I'm gonna continue cutting that. Well, actually, I thought it was gonna be harder to come off. So I'll just keep going here. And as we get to the final section here, okay, so now theoretically I should be able to just kind of run my knife right down through this. then I'll obviously have to clean it up with the file and whatnot. So I misspoke. I said that the back here wasn't wood deck. It actually is. So what my plan is for that, I'm not going to use the wood slats that are there. I'm going to use a piece of universal decking that I have that's not cut out yet, and just basically cut it to shape. So there we go, we got our hole here. It's going to take a minute to kind of get it cleaned up, but it's a little dirty, but that's the decking that I'm going to use. So I'm going to basically just cut it to shape and then drop it right down on like a normal build would be after I clean it up, obviously. So yeah, I just wanted to clarify that as I've been looking at more and more pictures. You know, I'm learning a lot as I'm going here about the ship. And will I hit it perfect? No. The ship, surprisingly, is a little bit harder to find information on than a lot of the other liners out there, but nonetheless, we will get it as close as possible. I mean, I can find a ton of information on it as Norway, but I don't want to build the Norway. Not that I had a problem with the Norway in the first rendition. I didn't like the second rendition when they added the decks, but the first one around, it looked okay, but that's not what this build is about. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to work on getting this cleaned up, and then we're going to get probably the white paint on first, and then we will do the decking, and I'm going to paint the bow white too before I do the green that goes behind it. But I'm probably just going to do them in tandem so I don't have to waste paint. Okay, now I got that spot right there where I didn't quite get enough drilled in. Oh good, this plastic's actually fairly easy to cut. Okay, and you might hear the 3D printer. I have lifeboats printing right now, so they're not exactly perfect on what I'm using. I found some Liberty class boats, lifeboats basically, that are a pretty convincing set that I'll be able to use for this, so I think they'll be okay. So I have them printing up, and then I have the life rafts all printing up because the life rafts that they molded into the upper deck, they're pretty terrible. So I don't know. I kind of ran down this model kit in the last video, and I do kind of apologize for that. You know, I went back and I actually watched a video on YouTube about the Glencoe company, and you know, their intention was never to build like dead-on accurate model kits, and this actually came from Ideal Toy Company back in the 50s, so you know, they bought the molds. I get it. It at least, I guess, will give me a rough shape to get something that I can expand upon as I'm going here. So I can't knock Glencoe that bad for that. Same thing with the United States. I kind of went onto a rant the last time, and a buddy of mine who's also a builder, he got the even more graphic rant that I went on with him, just about how terrible I thought the kit was and blah blah blah. So, you know, I'm kind of not rethinking that, but re-saying it just out of, you know, being a little bit understanding as to what the kit actually is. So what you see here is I'm cutting the stairwell off. Those are going to get replaced with PE, so I want them to come off. If you do what I'm doing, be really careful, because I'm not really doing this the smartest with the knife. But I'm also trying to avoid cutting this off. I don't want to lose that detail on the edge there of the ship. There we go. So sometimes you do have to do some carving when you're trying to modify like this. Those ones going up here, I'm not sure what I'm going to do there with them yet. I gotta make that decision. I'm going to look at some more pictures and determine what it actually should look like, and I'll make some decision from there. But this one will at least get ready to go. I'll have the other one ready too before I paint, but anyway. Alright, so I'm going to cut off this one, determine what I'm doing with this one, probably paint these, and then we'll be back. So I went ahead and cut out all of this along here too. That was kind of basically a partition that looks like it went into a lobby type thing for the pool, I guess. But these were not what they were in there. I was going to cut this, but then ended up, it just didn't work out. So I'm going to use the cup when I do that as part of that. So that's going to probably be my next phase here, where I need to figure out exactly how big this needs to be, which is bigger than what this is. So I'm going to basically draw it out on this cup, and then I'm going to cut it, and I think I'm going to use a hot knife for this, but I'm not positive yet, or scissors. I haven't tried cutting this to see how it actually doesn't cut that bad, but I don't want to get those jagged edges. I mean, granted, I was just kind of cutting it fast, but let's cut the cup in half first, so I'm not dealing with a full cup here. Okay, perfect. So there's phase one. And I'm going to just kind of bring it into shape so I get it down to a closer size, so I can kind of see where we need to go. So far this is actually gonna work pretty darn nice, I think. Now granted, I'm only doing a initial sizing, so I already know I made this too small, because that's not going to fit there. Oh, and I'm backwards. That's interesting. I'm going to have to make a custom one there. Okay. No biggie. No biggie at all, because I'm still going to need one on the back section here anyway. And this part can actually be white. Okay, so I'm a little bit big on both sides here. Okay, so it doesn't like to be cut that way. I'm still going to cut it just to get the sizing. I'm going to have to use the hot knife to get the right size here. Okay, so that's a mocked up one, obviously, but you can kind of see where we're going with this. So I'm going to use some better tooling to not have that happen again, but I can tell this is going to work, so I'm pretty excited. I feel encouraged anyway. So let me pause it, do some finessing, and I'll be back. Okay, so after a lot of experimenting, I think I went through like 4 or 5 cups, but I finally got one how I basically want it. So what I'm using for the supports that go across the top here is just a very fine pinstripe. I think this is like 1mm pinstripe that I picked up at the model railroad store, and it will do what I need it to do. So right now it's just a matter of getting it on and getting it as straight as I can, then I'll trim it up, and I still got to do the cross slats, but I can see where this is going and I'm pretty happy with it, so this will work. The only hard part about this stuff, it's a vinyl tape, so it can stretch fairly easy. But it's definitely going to be closer than what came with the kit, so I'm happy about that. Okay, for some reason this wasn't like coming off perfect. Strange, but there we go. Must have been a error in the cutter. Okay. And then along the edge, I'm just going to run a piece of the tape right along the edging once I get to that point. And I'll cut the excess along the top with the razor here. Might need a new blade here. Yeah, it's not cutting great. So I'll put a new blade on before I cut further. But yeah, I'm going to work on putting the rest of that on, but there you go. You can kind of get the idea of what this is going to do. So pretty happy with it. And like I said, it's a far cry from the original piece, which you would have had to paint and, I don't know, try to simulate something. So this will work, but I'm going to pause it and I'll be back. Okay, so there you can see the the dome that I built, and I'm really happy with that. That turned out very, very, very good. So that is going to get the effect that I need there. I'm going to need to cut a piece of Lexan for the front here and do very similar to that. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and start to get ready to paint this. Well, not really get ready, but I want to hit it. I might hit it with a little bit of primer just because this plastic's kind of weird. Little update on my lifeboats. The first round did not turn out, so we're going to have to go at that again, but that's okay. Sometimes it happens. Actually, before I paint this, I probably should get ready to do the deck, so I'm going to kind of show how I'm going to trace out this this shape, and then we'll get it cut, and then I'll paint once I have my decks cut. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I never did this before, but this is my plan. We'll see how this works. So this is just plain tin foil, and my thought process behind this is that I can get the shape of it pretty well with the foil and even cut it while it's on here, so that I can then basically make that a transfer to go over onto the decking. We'll see how this works. The hardest part here is just making sure you get it kind of in on all the little crevices here. Then once I have it to shape, I'll simply trace it out on the wood decking, and I should be able to just simply cut it. Okay, so far so good. This is working. It seems to be anyway. Okay. So now I've basically got the shape. Might have to trim a little as I'm going, but I think we'll be pretty close here. Yeah, so it's going to need a little bit extra in that corner. So I just got to make sure I don't overcut the corner here. So I'd rather go larger than I need to, and then kind of cut back. Okay. So, hopefully this gets me close, and then I can just trim from here. And if it's not absolutely perfect, I can just use a bit of tan paint underneath the edges. Okay, so I got that side really good, and this side just needs a little bit off of it. Not bad. Yeah, I will take that. I got a little bit of trimming to do here along the edge, but all in all, I'm pretty happy. So I'm gonna pause it, and I'll go ahead and do the next section, and then we'll be able to paint our white. Yep, that's gonna work. I gotta trim around there a little bit. Okay, so here we go. These are all my deck pieces here, and they're cut. Granted, don't know if they're perfect, but once they're glued down, I think they'll be pretty convincing for the deck. So now I'm ready to go ahead and paint, and then we will come back and start assembling some of this stuff. So let me pause it and I'll be back. Okay, so next up, this is painted now. So I'm gonna go ahead and get our glue for our wood deck. And this really, I mean, this is a lot different than most of my bigger builds with the space, or not the space, but the amount of decking that's usually involved. So this should be fairly quick. But I'm still using essentially the same technique. It's funny, I had this piece of deck laying around in my shop for years. I never had a thing to use it on, but this actually came out, well, not came out, but this actually ended up being perfect for what I needed. And the best part is it didn't cost me anything. I always like free. Well, it wasn't free, but you know what I mean. Okay, so I'm doing my normal routine for keeping it down here. A little bit too big. So it was lifting right on the edge there. So I want to make sure that gets down. then once I get this down, the next step is going to be painting the green on the forecastle, because that's pretty much ready to go. Okay, shift that a little bit. There we go. And one more, we'll do it on this, and then we got just the top there, and we're golden. I'm hoping my my railings and everything get here fairly quick, because this build, I mean, it's not a lot of pieces, so this isn't going to take a real long time, I don't think. So it would be nice to get them sooner than later. And I did get notification that my Bismarck stuff will be here, looks like tomorrow, so I'm excited about that. I can get that build finished up. Obviously it's starting to get warmer, so it'll be soon time to be able to actually sail it, which will be nice. And I still got to do some finishing out on Titanic for videos. I mean, it's done. It just, I never did the final, probably 2 videos of that build with taking it out on the lake and just an overall tour of it. So, things to do this spring. Okay, so that's pretty much that. So next up, I'm going to do it off camera probably, but just basically taping up the forecastle. I'll kind of show what I'm doing real quick though, before I start doing it. So I'm basically going to tape all the white off here, and then this will all be green right in here. So that's going to be what I work on right now. Alright, so I'm going to pause it and I will be back. Okay, so I just unmasked the green here. I'm pretty happy with how that turned out too. I'm using a Mission Models NATO green. I like the color, it seems to be right. So we have our cargo hatch covers that also need to go on here, so we can go ahead and put them on a while. And then I'm going to hit this with a clear coat once it's fully dried. But it's moving along quite nicely. So, there's not a lot of pieces that go on this, on the forecastle up here. You know, during this time frame when the ship was built, there was a pretty big kick on clean looking ships, like not having a lot of things seen on the deck. So I would gather that that has kind of caused the reasoning for it. They were really in the style of just clean, not obtrusive or anything like that. I'm thinking here that I may do the cargo holds white quick before I go ahead and glue them. So I'm going to pause that quick and just brush paint them on. So okay, so I got that done. I'm going to hit that with some clear now. I did consider using photo etch for these crane holders, but I don't have anything that really is going to be convincing, so I just ended up painting them. They were white, so that's what we did. So I'm going to clear that, and then we're going to go ahead and take this off and get our pool deck, or our pool dome mounted. So let me pause it and I'll be back. Okay, so here we go. I got that off. Foakstil is drying, so we're going to go ahead and put our cargo hatch on back here. It goes right there. And then we will put our boat, or our pool cover on. In the next video, I'm going to have to build the deck underneath and figure out exactly what I'm doing for that, so you can actually see a pool down there. Shouldn't be too hard to do, but gotta do it, obviously. So there we go, we got that on. That fit pretty perfect. Now, because I'm using a plastic cup, I don't exactly know how that's going to react to CA glue, so I think I'm going to just use straight canopy glue. I would guess that if I use CA, it might be a bad deal because it'll probably like fog up on me, and I don't really want that. Okay, now, once I get this on, next we'll have to figure out what I'm doing for the front of it here. Which, like I said earlier, I'm going to probably just end up using a piece of acetate and setting it that way. So let me find some and figure this out, and then I'll come back and we'll probably just about be ready to wrap up the video. I'll probably be able to put these on the hull just to see what they look like. I won't glue them down yet because I didn't have the lighting in yet, but yeah. Let me pause it and I'll be back. Okay, so I got my front there. Hopefully, yeah, now you can see it. So what we're going to do now, because I need to build this this deck that has to go under here, I took a piece of styrene and I cut it so that it is just a little bit shorter than the hull, or not the hull, but the deck above here. And I actually want to go just a little bit more because the curvature of the hull will go down from where this upper deck lands. And I don't want it to become a problem later. So this is going to basically ride right here, and we're going to go ahead and cut a hole probably about here, 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 and that's going to be our pull. So to do that, I'm going to need I'm going to basically need to drill holes. I think that's my best way of going about this, so that I can get basically a square. Or not a square, but a rectangle, sorry. Make sure I'm about center. Yeah, that's about right. Okay, so I'm gonna just kind of use the same technique that I've used with these other cutouts that I've had to do, and perforate so I can just move right along and cut it out. Then I'm going to paint it like a tan. Actually, more than likely this would be wood deck too, so I might just cut out some decking. Melting plastic on the bit here. This is one thing that happens now and then. You have to clear your bit back off. Sorry. And I don't need to get this perfect because it's not really going to be visible. I mean, it will be a little bit through the skylight, but not crazy visible, I don't think. And then I can actually line the top of it here once I get the deck on with a piece of strip styrene, which will look like the edge of the pool. I don't even know that I'll need to do decking all the way up, but I probably just will, so. Need a new blade. There we go. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm going to just kind of smooth this out. This might be a little bit bigger than the actual pool was, but it's all right. So let me keep working on this and then I'll come back. Okay, so here is our pool and our pool deck, and what I want to do, I want this to dry fairly quick, so I'm using CA, which I generally don't on wood. Well, this isn't actual wood either, it's just printed, but I'm trying to get it done kind of quickly. So I'm going to use CA, I'm going to spray my promoter on it. Okay, good deal. And now just going to trim around the edge a little bit real quick. I think we're okay. Now, to cut out my pull spot, I'm just going to use the blade here. Okay. Now we should have a pull. Now, to give this just a little bit of depth, what I'm going to do next is just cut some styrene here. And we're going to basically park it on the edge right here. So I'll probably go down 2 layers like that, and that will kind of simulate the depth, and I'll put a bottom on it. Then we'll paint it blue, and I'll fill it with some of my fake water that I used on Queen Mary 2, and we should be about golden. Cheap, easy, effective way to make a pool. Just want that to be a little bit longer. So, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pause it, build this pool, and then I'll come back and show it to you and we'll finish out the video. Alright, so there is our pool, and I just gonna need to fill it now with some fake water. But yes, you can actually see it down in there, so this wasn't the worst thing that I could have possibly done. I'm thinking this might actually have been a pretty smart idea, so I'm pretty happy with it. But yeah, let me go ahead and get some water in there, which actually is just canopy glue. And I just kind of, whoa, not do that. Oh my god. That was fun. Luckily I caught that quick enough. So the canopy glue will dry clear, and it does a pretty good job of simulating water. Okay, that could have been bad, but this is going to take a while to dry, so I'm obviously not going to have it dry enough in this video to end it out, because I'm not going to wait the 2 or 3 hours that it'll probably take for this to dry to show it, but I will show it in the next video, and you'll be able to see it. So I'm going to pretty much finish out this one now, at this point. The only other thing I'm going to do with this pool also is I'm going to put a border around the top of the pool here. And I'm going to do that with like a dark brown, and that's just going to be thin styrene. Basically, I don't know if I'm going to use, that looks a little bit thick. I have a thinner piece. Use something like this with painting it brown. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to use. Alright, well anyway, thank you very much for tuning in. Sorry about my little glue mishap there, but we'll see you next time here on LC Model Shipbuilding. Okay, I thought I was done, but I'm not quite. So I also added some pull ladders there, so you can kind of see them. And again, once this dries, it'll be blue. But yeah, there we go. So now I'm done with the video. So thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.